there's a new scenario, something that's going to just catch us off guard. So please use your resources that you have. My name's Cari Smith. I have kind of my contact information up on the screen. Hopefully that is sharing for you. And I wanted to just give you a little bit of information about myself. I started in the business in '93 as a receptionist and built my way up to a wholesale account executive. So I don't deal directly with the public, but I have amazing loan officers, many that are on this call today, and they are able to help the borrowers directly for any kind of down payment programs that are available. So please reach out to your loan officers, especially your Windsor approved loan officers. So with that, I want to, so I have some knowledge in the business too. I've got my contact information up here. And Windsor Mortgage is a wholesale lender out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Plains Commerce Bank is our parent company. So we are bank owned, very small boutique wholesale investor, and we are here to work with approved brokers throughout the nation. What I wanted to discuss today was just some of the product offering that Windsor has. Now, of course, consider exactly that there may be more down payment programs out there in the industry. I'm here to kind of just direct you of where to get some information, how to qualify them, what programs are out there specifically for Windsor. But do note that we might not offer every program available. So please keep that in mind. So when we're talking about the down payment programs, we're talking about national nonprofit organizations that are able to, they're collecting funds through donations, through government entities. They are offering national assistance to the home buyers. Obviously, you know, the agencies are looking to improve home ownership. I know I'm actually located in Colorado, and we just had a Governor Polis office that was discussing what the steps are that they're doing to help with affordability in the markets. Obviously, that's not always the case, if you will, but we are looking to do what we can for the first-time home buyers. So when we're talking about down payment assistance, typically we're talking about income restrictions. We're talking about borrowers that are first-time home buyers, credit that they can actually get a loan, but they just don't. They're lacking the down payment, the savings to get into the house. So these national nonprofit organizations or state entities are offering down payment assistance. Many of these can come in grants, so they're just free money, if you will, if you qualify. Some are coming from second loans that they actually have to make payments on. And you'll also see other options where they do, they'll do a silent second is what they call it. So it's a program where you have a 3-year silent second, which means after the 3 years, that second mortgage is forgiven. You make no payments on it, but you do have to live in the house as a primary residence for whatever the required time is in order to do for it to be forgiven. So these are just some high level understanding of the programs. And what I want to make sure, again, as you note, was that Windsor is available on quite a few of these programs. So want to kind of start with probably our available program that offers everything. So when we start with the program that offers everything, we're going to then kind of restrict it from there. So just to keep in mind, these are programs that are available for Windsor approved broker customers. And when I share my screen, we're starting with the program that is considered flexible. So as we talk about the flexible product, we are talking about a FHA product that allows us to do a 96.5 first mortgage. So it's an FHA loan. And then the 3.5% is coming from a flexible source. So this is a Windsor Zero Flex program. It's 100% financing. We are doing an FHA product that is allowing us to go down a little bit on the credit scores. The minimum credit score for this one is 600. So it does allow for some flexibility, but I will mention you do have to get an AUS approval or a manual FHA underwrite, and you just have to consider the risk that's involved in the 600 credit score at 100% financing on FHA. I'm not saying every borrower is going to be approved at the 600 credit score. So keep that in mind. The program, as I mentioned, does allow for no down payment, but it also has no income restrictions. We'll talk later because the next programs are going to start having income restrictions. So keep that in mind. This one does not have any income restrictions on this particular program. Again, most programs for the first-time homebuyers on DPA is going to have a restriction for that they have to be a first-time homebuyer, but this particular program does not. This one allows you to own another house and buy a new primary with down payment. You can even rent that house as long as it fits the FHA guidelines. You're able to buy a 2-unit property for FHA and still get down payment assistance, and maybe you're using the rental income from that second unit. That's fine. You can also do temporary buy downs. Maybe you're getting seller concessions in this market that we're at. Use the seller concessions, get a temporary buy down for the borrowers, and they can actually have the lower note start rate for the first 1 or 2 years. We also have options for non-occupant co-borrowers. Again, many times your down payment programs are not going to allow you to do a non-occupying co-borrower and allow them to qualify. So this particular program does. Again, this is the Windsor Zero Flex program. It's 100% FHA. It does have a first mortgage rate that's going to be a little bit higher than what you would standard, if the borrower had their own down payment. So please make sure you understand these are not going to be the same rates as what you would get on a standard FHA with the 3.5% down of the borrower's funds or gift funds. So these are going to be a little bit higher, maybe the mid 7s. There is a second mortgage that is being paid on this one. You do have a forgivable or a non-forgivable option. I have noticed just from the pricing that the forgivable option does tend to be a little bit higher note rate because there is some adjustment. So you have to buy out the forgivable option. And with that, it's not as competitive is how I'll phrase it. So I typically see more in the forgivable or the non-forgivable option whenever we look at that. So that note rates.
When you're saying forgivable, is there a period of time that you have to pay on it before it's forgiven?
Yes. So all of the different programs have different ones, but this particular program has a 10-year forgivable option. So you have to live in that house for 10 years before they'll forgive it. You have to live in the house as a primary residence for 10 years before they'll forgive it. It is reduced every month, so you can reduce the balance on the second mortgage, but to pay 2.5 hit on pricing just to get a forgivable option when you can make a 10-year fully amortized payment on that second, it's weights and balance, which is going to be better for your borrower. So there are some options. So the other comment, as I mentioned, the second mortgage payment is going to be a 2% over the first mortgage note rate. So if I'm at 7.5 on the first, I'm at 9.5 on the second. I'm paying on a 10-year amortization, paying fully principal and interest payments. So like I said, it's either that option or go up to maybe an 8.25 note rate with the forgivable option, so they don't have a second mortgage payment. Because we are, have a few people on this call, I do want to mention that the Zero Flex program is available throughout the nation, except for the states of New York and Washington State. So FHA products. So this is one of the most flexible options. We're going to have some options available that are now going to get a little more restrictive as we go through, but they also might have some better pricing on them too. So do want to mention the Zero Flex program is available on borrower paid or lender paid compensation. So whatever your compensation channel is with Windsor Mortgage, that can be charged on the Zero Flex program. So
Cari,
available borrower paid or lender paid. Yep.
Right now from Victor, is this on the Zero Flex, is it only borrower paid comp or is it lender paid comp or both?
It is available for both. Yep. So either way.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Excellent. So not to confuse anyone, but now we are going to move to a different program. So this is, again, it's an FHA program only. So the Zero Flex FHA option nationwide. As we move further, Windsor now also offers I don't even know if I was sharing my screen. Sorry. Okay, I was. Thank you. Now we need to look at our product offering for the conforming option, the conforming counter. Sorry, and I think I am still sharing. Give me a sec to switch out slides. So now we're looking at the conforming option for down payment program. So now we're doing more of a Fannie Freddie program. Either is available. And again, this one is an option for specific states. So as you see our state map here, this conventional program is available up to 97. But if you are a home ready, home possible borrower, so you have that lower income, the 80% AMI or lower, you can do a 97 and not be a first time home buyer. If you exceed the 80% AMI and you are a first time home buyer, you can do a 97 LTV. If you are not a first time home buyer and you exceed the 80% AMI, you are maxed at 95 LTV. Now, these are just standard Fannie Freddie guidelines. It's not just because you're doing down payment. These are just Fannie and Freddie guidelines that I want to make sure that you're aware of. So when you're doing the Windsor DPA, as you can see, Springboard or FAHE are the two national nonprofit organizations that are offering the down payment assistance. They are available up to 4% of the purchase price or appraised value, whichever is lower. So if you're doing a 97 LTV, you're looking at a 101 CLTV on the these programs. Again, not every state, but it is pretty well covered for most of the states available.
On
when
those
we're looking
programs, Cari, what kind of mortgage insurance do you guys do your own mortgage insurance?
These are going to follow Fannie Freddie guidelines as far as mortgage insurance. So when you're in the lower 80% AMI or lower, that's the home ready, home possible, affordable MI. So it's a reduced coverage at 18%.
Okay. Wow.
If you are not in that affordable category, so 80% AMI or less, then that means that you have the standard coverage, which is 35% coverage. So when I look at this Windsor mortgage down payment program, it is conforming. It does have mortgage insurance. So if you're looking in the, even though the minimum credit score is 660, more than likely 660 might have a pretty high MI. So just keep that in mind. So yep. So I typically, sorry, I didn't know if there was questions.
Scholarship to OLU, and his track coach was like, "Why would you waste your money there if you don't get a scholarship?"
Yeah, sorry, I don't know if you can see who that is.
You know, it's a big deal.
So we'll mute.
He said he wants to go there and wants to test it.
If you can mute Shauna.
Yeah.
Sandy, do you mind?
Shauna, can you mute?
Yeah.
I'm trying to do that right now.
Yeah, I don't think I'm the host, so it's not letting me.
It's not actually not letting me either.
Shauna, can you hear us? If you don't mind muting your phone for a sec.
Okay. Isn't it so exciting to go to games?
Okay.
I apologize, everyone.
Yeah.
Hold on a second, I'm gonna have to
Well,
text
his
her.
son's outside, but this will be the last boy playing football.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't know how to do it either as a,
Yeah, well, the middle one is still playing, the oldest,
Right.
he went to. He's
Let's
done.
see here.
The middle one is at Golden West, wants to eventually go to University of Hawaii.
I am gonna have to
Okay,
probably
yeah,
kick
this
her
one.
out.
I will talk loud, everyone. I promise you'll be able to hear me. So, So on the Windsor DPA program, we do have many states, but this one is restricted on income.
Yeah.
Sorry, it is kind of difficult.
All right, hold on, I am so sorry.
The stadium, pretty nice. Yeah, they did, well, the weight room and everything, we have a whole nother gym. Yeah, it's really. Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, I almost recognize it. Yeah.
Hey, at least it's not some uncomfortable visual.
I know, right?
Well,
I am.
I just want to make sure nothing goes, but yeah, all I heard was something about Monday Night Football, so that's not a big deal, right? You never know what conversations go on outside of the,
Yeah, if you want
the
to,
class.
I'm on a call.
I'm so weak.
Think, did we get it?
Shauna, can you mute your phone? I don't know if you're still available.
Sorry. Yes, I will.
Thank you so much. So, so when we, so as we kind of talked about on the Zero Flex program, we do have, we had no income restrictions on that program. That was an FHA program. This one's conforming. This one does have 140% AMI restrictions. So if you are looking in specific counties that are available to you, you will need to make sure that the borrowers hit that income level. So we will kind of discuss that later, but I just want to make sure that that is a comment for this. So 140% of the AMI. The other thing that I would mention on this is if you are in a high balance area or even in a standard area, Fannie and Freddie have recently had a lender letter that states that the loan level price adjustments are going to be capped if you are at 100% and a first-time home buyer in standard areas. And if you are 120% in a first-time home buyer in a high balance area. So just kind of keep that in mind for those high balance people. My comment is to make sure you put in that they're first-time home buyers and make sure to put in the monthly income when you are pricing these in your pricing engines. That will in fact show that you have a cap for the areas. And that definitely is going to make it a much better price, even on these DPA programs. So keep that in mind. That's where you'll see a great advantage to the Windsor DPA on the conventional side.
And you said the minimum FICO is 660, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Correct. So the Windsor DPA is a first mortgage, Fannie Freddie, runs AUS, 97 max LTV. Again, the second mortgage is the 4% second. The 4% second does have a payment, and there is not a forgivable option this time. In that payment, it's the same note rate as the first mortgage, but it's an interest-only payment. So it is a little bit lower, but do remember if it's an interest-only payment, that means you're not paying down principal anytime you pay it off or refinance. That full amount is going to be part of the payoff. Do note if you do have, in fact, any extra income or any extra assets to apply towards it, you can pay it off early. I'm not saying that there's a prepay penalty or anything on that second mortgage. Just note that if you pay the minimum, it is an interest only. I know what we've seen in some circumstances with new first-time home buyers. They have a housing credit that now is applied on their taxes. And of course, please consult a professional tax advisor. But because of that tax or that benefit of home ownership, maybe they get a refund. Apply that refund towards that second. You know, start paying that down early if you can, and then now you only have the first mortgage payment again, as you would. So just some suggestions, but in general, the big thing is knowing that we do have is that we have the second mortgage does have a payment. And yes, Orlando, the second mortgage payment on this conforming one is a 30-year interest only. So technically, if they keep the loan for 30 years, at the end of paying the first off, they will have to pay the full balance of the second. So it's an interest only for 30 years.
So it's basically a balloon payment then.
Yeah, pretty much. But again, who holds the house for 30 years?
Not too many people.
Yeah, no. And the 2% higher was the FHA program. This particular conforming program is going to have the same note rate as the first mortgage with the interest only payment. So these probably run, you know, 7.625, 7 3/4. So you're looking at that as the first, that as the second. If you have a little bit lower credit score, it might get up into the 8s, but again, it's the first mortgage is, and the second mortgage note rates are the same with an interest only payment on the second. So again, this is the Windsor conforming program. So now we've had a national FHA product, all but Washington and New York. I've presented a program for the Windsor DPA for a conforming option, a little more restrictive on the map, as you can see, but it does allow you to do a conforming option too. And this is great. Like I said, again, first-time home buyers within those 120% for the high balance or 100% on the lower AMIs. They're just a better option, but I still will allow for a borrower to go up to 140% AMI and still allow them the Windsor DPA program. So just keep that in mind. So those are, again, national DPA programs that we offer. Many of these are nonprofit organizations. And what I want to go into next is to show you more of state programs that are available. Now, when I talk about these state programs, and I'm hoping you can kind of read the whole thing, sorry, that the orange are ones that Windsor offers today. The blue are ones that Windsor is working on and should have approved probably within the next 30 to 60 days. And then the black ones that are crossed out, those are requiring state housing. The state housing programs require brick and mortars. So those are ones that are a little more difficult. I'm not saying that they are not going to be approved, but they are a little bit more difficult to get. So, so we are working on establishing a full national state housing programs. And the way Windsor does this, we've been, as I mentioned, Plains Commerce Bank, our parent company, is located in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So South Dakota housing has been very beneficial to the market and the community in South Dakota. So it's really close at home. It hits us. We want to offer the affordable housing programs throughout the U.S. So we're working to get these programs, at least one housing program in every state. So as we start to advance and add more states, please let me know if you have some states that are maybe not quite processed yet. We want to know that we're adding the correct program for these states. So every state is slightly different. I just grabbed a state that I'm familiar with, that I want to make sure that you understand kind of how to look at these things. Because as we start getting into these state-sponsored housing programs, we're also getting very restrictive. So I've shown you all this flexibility. I've shown you 140% AMI. Well, these are not, but these are also probably one of the best options if you do have borrowers that can qualify. So, so as we start looking at these programs, we're looking at a more restrictive borrower product also. So when I look at, we'll look at the Florida housing program. So each state has their own website. So if you wanted to look at Tennessee, you'd obviously look at the Tennessee Housing Down Payment Program, and you would get different information. A lot of them do use this eHousing Plus website. So a lot of them are set up very similar. So as we're looking at these programs, this one is going to be a restricted to borrower paid compensation only. There are, as I don't know if I mentioned, but on the Windsor DPA, the conforming one, the national, that one does allow for lender paid compensation and or borrower paid compensation. But when you start getting state specific, these are all borrower paid transaction, 1% compensation on the borrower paid. So a little bit more restrictive in all aspects, if you will. So what's the first thing we want to worry about? Obviously the state, okay, the property's in a certain state. We know that the housing program is in Florida. And now we want to know, well, is the property okay, along with the borrower? So those are our two key contacts and what we have to look at when we're looking at the housing programs. So I'm just hovering over this and it gives me all of the information. And as I said, there are going to be income restrictions and a lot of times purchase price restrictions for these housing programs. So when I'm opening up the programs and determining what our housing availability is, I am looking at, what's the program that I'm looking at and where is my property? So my example is in Broward County in Florida. So I have a targeted area and a non-targeted area. So what does that mean? In general, the targeted areas are underserved markets that you look at, but it's more, not always, but more metropolitan areas, areas that maybe are looking at redevelopment, that type of stuff. But we also offer non-targeted areas. So when I talk about that, well, now I have to kind of figure out what particular area should I be looking at. So with that, we look at the census tract search. So I don't know if you're familiar with this already, but we do look at the area where the property is located. So let me make sure this one is sharing first. Yep. So the geo map is available. It's actually off of the link on the last, there's a link off of the Florida Housing Program, and it takes us to the census tract information. We type in our address and click search. And with that, we find out what is the census tract code for the area. And I know this is tiny, but I'm going to pull it up a little bit more. So now that I see what census tract this is in, I need to go to the Florida Housing Program and see what my census tract figures are. So now I got to find that email or that. Sorry, just had it open. Here we go. So on the Florida Housing product, as I said, I have this link right here on the designated targeted areas. And when I searched that, it came up with Broward County, and it was a census tract code of 0304.02. So in my codes for Broward County, I am looking for that code, and it looks like, yes, it is. So this is a targeted area. So it's an underserved market. It is an area that I can qualify the borrowers by a targeted, not a non-targeted. So just keep that in mind. Also, for this particular Florida program, it does mention that borrowers in a targeted area are exempt from the first-time homebuyer requirement too. So again, every state is different. This is just one example. I just want to make sure you understand the things that you have to look at and make sure that you're qualifying and making sure that the borrower fits within certain areas. And not only is it the borrower, but it's the targeted property address also. So now that I know that this is the targeted area in my property in Pompano Beach is good, I can now go back to my targeted income restriction for Broward County, which is a annual income of $115,200.
Cari,
And this is
quick
for
question, is that household income or just the people that are borrowing?
Yep. So for the Florida housing program specifically, it is the household income. When we're talking about the Flex program and the Windsor DPA, which were national programs, those are only the qualifying income. So if I have a borrower and a non-borrowing spouse, I'm only using the borrower's income for the national companies or the national DPAs. When I'm looking at the Florida program and many other state programs, I'm looking at the household income. And as you can see, non-targeted areas do allow for higher income for more people, but the target areas are higher anyway. So that's why they don't specify a difference for household. Also, as it mentions, there's also a targeted purchase price limit. 694,903 is the max purchase price for those areas. So starting with the borrower's qualification and also combining that with the property itself and where that property is located. That's how you find out, number one, if the borrowers are going to be qualified for these options. So now that I have the borrower and the property are both qualified, I can look in here and say, okay, well, those were the Florida Assist program. I have a $10,000 grant that is available for the borrowers. Minimum credit score for FHA loan, and the note rate is 6.75. This is basically a par rate for the borrowers. And again, you're charging only 1% max on the origination charges for borrower broker compensation. As you can see, there's an assist program. There is also the bond alternative Florida Plus program. Each one has slightly different requirements. And as I mentioned, each one is available to kind of hover over these to see all of the additional information for each. So that kind of gives you, yeah, where we're looking. Yep.
Quick question. So on the Hometown Heroes program that doesn't charge origination, how does the BPC work?
So just to make sure, the Hometown Hero program does not have funds.
I understand,
So,
but they will be replenished. So when
Yep. So I didn't necessarily address that one because of that aspect. But yes,
Sure.
when it does come back, Windsor is offering the Hometown Heroes program with a 1.5% lender paid. And that's the only way that you can do that one. So so when the rates are available, those rates are actually on our website that shows the 1.5 lender paid compensation. And just if you are an approved customer of Windsor Mortgage, there is an addendum to your lender paid compensation that is needed. So just keep that in mind, that there's an extra page if you didn't fill that out during your convergence application.
Right. So just so to be clear though, that 1.5, is that charged as an origination for us to get paid, or is that on the back end?
That's on the back end for the Hometown Heroes. Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Okay.
But you're saying right now you don't have the Hometown Hero right now.
Yeah, they are out of money.
They're out of money. Okay. Yeah. That's why they're like, okay. So anybody that's a member of Windsor Mortgage will already go under your umbrella for Hometown Heroes once they get their money back in?
Correct. Right now, what we're seeing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember if it's Monday or Tuesday, but every Monday or Tuesday, every Tuesday at, I think it's 10 o'clock Eastern time, they tell us how much funds have been returned And I think this week it was only $450,000. So you can understand that probably goes very quickly. So in general, it's very difficult to get the Hometown Hero funds today. There is a chance, but you have to be prepared. You have to have everything in, the loan's already, it's qualified. And then you wait for that Tuesday morning bid, see if our marketing desk can get your loan approved. So it kind of stay away from that one because it's very difficult right now. It was a great program last year, but this year, unless they refund it, it's very difficult to honor the Hometown Heroes program. So that's why I want to make sure you know Windsor also offers the other options at Florida. So we also offer the bond program, the bond alternative, the assist, and the help programs. Just to keep all of those in mind. I had one more kind of aspect of it that I wanted to mention, because these are very much programs that are first-time home buyers. I also want to mention that there is typically a homebuyer education class required and all of these programs that I've mentioned so far do have the homebuyer education class requirement. So keep that in mind. So when I am looking at homebuyer education classes, this just happens to be Fannie's requirement. Hopefully you can see that. I just wanted to point out a couple of things. So this is just a Fannie definition of the home ownership education versus the home counseling program. These require an education class. And there is more that you can do for these borrowers, and they can actually go on a one-on-one counseling with an option. But I just want to make sure you understand there is a difference. So so when you're looking for a home buyer education class, that's what you want to look up, education class. That's what's required. You get a certificate after the borrower's done, and that's what you send to underwriting so that the borrower can meet the home buyer education class requirement. The home counseling is fine if you want to do that, but it is not a requirement for the home buyer, for the Home Ready, Home Possible, the Flex program, the Windsor DPA, or the Florida housing or state housing programs. The counseling is not a requirement, but it is educational. Actually, Fannie even allows you to get some credit in your pricing if they do the counseling prior to the contract. But I'm kind of going to get that one's not available on the down payment programs. That's a standard program. So just call me if you need answers on that part. But I do want to make sure that you know that there's a little bit difference of those two things. So when we're talking about the home ownership education, we can use mortgage insurance companies, we can use the HUD approved agencies, we can use Fannie Mae has Home View or Framework. Freddie has the Credit Smart. The MI companies are using Finally Home. And then, of course, you can also look for a HUD counseling center that is in your neighborhood. So this is going to be provided to you also just to give you an overview. And all of these options are available for all of the programs that we've talked about. If you are looking in different states, make sure that these are acceptable. But again, most likely they are. Anything that fits Fannie and Freddie or FHA typically is fine for the local housing programs too. So make sure that they get that certificate, that they send the certificate in so that we can sign off. And it is required prior to closing. So as I mentioned, you could do the counseling before the contract, not required, but you do have to do the home buyer education before the loan closes. So this will be a prior to closing condition. So also, let me grab that one. So this, as I mentioned, was kind of the overview of the programs. I do have some time to allow for questions, but I had a couple other things that I'll probably touch on after if there are no questions. So just to kind of clarify, I know it's a lot of information. The big thing is know Windsor's here for you. Your account executive's here for you. We can give you a little more clarification on which one might be the best option for your borrower. We just want to make sure that, you know, that you understand there's a lot that kind of goes into if you want the best option for your borrower, which is more than likely the housing programs, because these housing programs either give you a grant, which is non-repayable. It's like not free money because taxpayers are probably paying for it, but it is money for the borrowers that don't have to be repaid back as a grant. They might also receive a silent second, which means that there's no payments and it will be forgiven after a certain period of time. These, I believe, are, as I say it, I have to look because I thought it was a 5, but I actually think it might be 3 years repayable on Florida. And it's probably going to open up here. So, yep. So, depending on the interest rate on this one's 3, the assist is the 0%, and it is, I swear it was 3 years. It's probably right in front of me. Forgiven after 5, sorry, 5 years.
I think it's Tampa that's forgiven after 3.
Yeah. Colorado versus Florida. That's where my mind's going.
Know.
Yep, exactly. That's why I was off on that one. But any other questions? And then like I said, I just had one last thing to share that that I wanted to make sure that that all are aware of. So I just need to pull it up 1 second. If you are a Windsor customer, and even to tell the truth, if you're not, Windsor has coaching calls also that are more specific to, not coming up where I was hoping to. We have coaching calls. They're more loan officer driven. So if you are looking to do a, if you're new to the business, if you've actually been here for a while, but you just need a little bit more, you know, motivation, we do offer some coaching calls for you. Or if you're looking to get approved with Windsor Mortgage, again, I just want to make sure that you have my contact information. It is the QR code has all of my information. If you're in a specific area or if you're working with an account executive, please reach out to them about the coaching. But we do appreciate Sandy allowing us to join you today and giving you some information about national and local housing down payment. Please reach out to Fannie, Freddie, to your investors. We want to make sure that we are making home affordable for all borrowers. So thank you.
And Cari, do you have like the state programs in a list? The map was great, except for my geography's off. So, so I felt like I was like, okay, that's Florida. I think that's Oregon. You know, it's like,
yep, I will.
If you could,
I'll include that with my email to you so that it has all of ours. The ones that are pending should be coming out probably with, like I said, within the 30 or 90 days. And then the ones that aren't, we're welcoming ideas. Like if you know that, you know, Indiana has a program and it's the best program for the state, send that information so that we make sure we get the right program. Because if not, you know, obviously we want to make sure that we're adding programs that can be utilized by all of our TPO customers. Many of these housing programs are only available to big retail offices, and that's why we want to change that. We want to have these programs available to the you know, the brokers. We're dominating in the market shares, and we are seeing this even grow. So if we can offer some of these programs to the broker community, that's exactly what we want to do.
Thank you so much. I know there's so much more information, and I know that Windsor also has a situation where you can actually go in there and speak directly to an underwriter with questions also, which is huge. And I love that. So what I will do for everybody that was on the call today is I will send you the links that Cari spoke about that you need to see the geocodes and see if they fit that area. I'll send out also, do you have anything that you can send us? I can send it out for you with regards to like just the different down payment programs you have, so that we have like cheat sheets. And then I can also put that in our learning center here for my students who were not able to make the call, and then they have all of that information as well, and we'll put that in the resource center.
Perfect. That sounds great.
If you
I'll get that over to you, Sandy.
Then I'll make sure everybody here got it also. Cari, thank you so much. I really appreciate all this wonderful information. I know every state is a little different, and as I predicted in the beginning, I knew New York wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, and as you notice, even our national ones, don't quite.
Right, and I'm assuming when
offer.
you said Washington, you meant the state of Washington.
The state of Washington,
right?
Yep, correct.
Yeah.
We do, however, we're piloting the Washington State housing program, but it is restricted to about 10 customers right now. So as we develop that program, it will be expanded. So, like I said, just reach out to your account executive or myself, and we'll be able to get you some details.
All right. Does anybody have any questions before we go? Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming in. I really appreciate it. If you want information on the Learning Center, Climax Financial Learning Center, please let me know. Like I said, we are expanding, and our membership, which is $79 a month, will be including your own CRM and website in the very near future. But right now, what you do get is unlimited learning modules. You get the resource center where we keep you nice and organized with everything. You get the daily mortgage support room where you can come in and ask questions, or if you need help with anything, we are here to assist in any way possible to make your lives a little bit easier. Okay, and organized. That's our biggest problem, I think, is staying organized with everything. And we are always updating all of the new regulations and the new guidelines because, as we all know who have been in this industry for a while, blink and it changes. So, but again, thank you all so much for attending today. And if you'd like, you can join the Facebook group that I have, New Loan Officer Support on Facebook. And we do always have little tidbit videos of any of our live coaching calls. We recap it there also. So everybody have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Sandy. Bye.
Bye, Cari. Thank you so much.